Hi everyone, welcome back to my videos. So today we'll be talking about a very unique topic. I'm sure very less people have heard about this topic. This topic is called Authorization Manager or AzMan. Let me start with something which is modern version of it, something which is there in Azure. So in Azure we have something that's called as RBAC or Role-Based Access Management. Okay, so in this role-based access management, we actually can go ahead and or Microsoft has defined what roles are there and what entities are there. And the latest or the newest version of Authorization Manager can be observed if you go to roles and administrators. Like for example, you go to Microsoft Entra ID and then you go to roles and administrators, and in the roles, what you see is there's an option that says new custom role, and we can define what roles a particular person can have, and we can define what that role can do or what that role should be able to do. Then we can create groups to make sure that that particular group is aligned to that roles. Okay, so that's called Authorization Manager or RBAC in short. So let's look at what an authorization manager is. I've written an article. So if you just refresh, go to my website idfreesupport.com, and one of the very latest article is simplifying role and permission management in authorization management. Now what we are, or AzMan. Now, the thing is whatever we have been observing, RBAC and all these things, this is the newest version, the latest what is there in, and that is also a cloud version, which is of Azure or Office 365. What if you want something like this in on-premises environment, which is on your local Active Directory? Okay, what if you're looking for something like roles and permission management and a very detailed analysis or understanding of how authorization manager is and what authorization manager can do, or RBAC kind of thing in local machines or your local servers, local environment? Okay, so I've written an article. Please go through this article. I've explained what an authorization manager is. It's a powerful access control framework that simplifies managing role and permissions within your application. Now this is available in your on-premises version way long back. It's like a decade old technology, decade old feature which is available. I'm going to give you a demo on how you can utilize it, what you can do, and how it can be used on your on-premises environment. A little demo on how you can utilize it at least, or create it. So key features is role-based frameworks. If you want to understand how a role-based framework works, and you want more detail about RBAC, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to explain it in more detail. So RBAC or AzMan allows you to manage roles by granting permission to various operations. Users can be assigned roles and permissions and are associated with those roles. Okay, so what we need is we need MMC to make sure we manage this, and we can create an XML file, or we can store this in SQL, or we can store this on a SQL server or an Active Directory. Okay, so we have three places, three locations. I'll talk about them, I explain them. The installation process is pretty simple. I've explained it over here, but we can also I can also demonstrate it as part of my videos. There's going to be some groups that we create as part of the whole authorization manager. First is a basic kind of group, which is like a local group which is available. The second is an LDAP query group. This LDAP query group defines is actually based on an LDAP query that can get generated. For example, I can say that if someone is having a custom attribute X, then he becomes part of a group. If someone is having a property Y, or his manager is X, then that particular becomes a member of this particular group. So we have a query, LDAP query based group. The third is a business role application group. Now this is a very unique or very niche kind of group. Not many people can or would want to do it. It's created based on some VB and JavaScripts. So you need to have good knowledge of VB and JavaScript to be able to create a business rule application group. Okay, group definition, task definitions, operation definitions. Basic information is given over here, but we'll understand more about it. However, see, I can't cover, it's a big, huge topic. If you want to know more about it, just follow this link. This is a Microsoft article, TechNet article, very detailed, very nicely written. Please go through it, and that will help you a lot. So let's look at Authorization Manager. This is what your Authorization Manager looks like. There are two kinds of role. One is an administrator role and a second is development role. We would be spending a good amount of time in development role. Okay. So how do you open it? What you need is you need to open your MMC, that is Microsoft console. If you need to know how you can open it, just open any command prompt or go to run, type in MMC. Once you type MMC, what you see is this window that opens up, which is your Microsoft Management Console. You go to New File and Add Remove Snap-ins, and over here you see Authorization Manager. Just add it and click OK. Okay. Now what you see over here is you see nothing. This is blank. You don't see anything. Okay, because we have not set. We have to create one. We have to set. We have to define one. So Authorization Management allows you to set role-based permissions for applications that has been Authorization Manager enabled. Okay, you have to use Authorization Manager. You must first create an authorization store, which means a place where you can store that. And if you are an application developer, open an existing authorization store if you are an administrator. Okay, so which means that I can either open an authorization store which I have already created. If I have already created, like for example, I have created one, I can open this one. Okay, this is something which I have already created, so this opens up a new store for me. If I have not created one and I really want to go ahead and open my or create my own authorization manager or store, then I have to go to developer mode. To go to developer mode, I'll show you again. Right click on Authorization Manager, you go to option and select developer mode and click OK. Okay, now if you see what happens when you do this is you are able to create a new authorization store. Previously this create a new authorization store was not available because I was not a developer. Now I am a developer, so I am getting this new authorization store option. What are the ways or what are the places where I can have this store available? 3 places. I've already discussed that I can have it in my Active Directory. I can have it as an XML file, like I've opened a new XML file, and I can even save it on a SQL store. I'll try to demonstrate the first two, and there are 2 types of schemas. If you want to understand more about this, we can always, if you are in 2, you cannot go to 1. Okay, but if you're in 1, you can always come to 2. Okay, there are 2 schemas which are available. Now, if I want to create a store or if I want to use an XML file, just let's go ahead and say IT free support. That's going to be the name of the XML file, IT free support YouTube demo. Okay, and now over here what I see is a group that is getting created, a basic folder which name as groups. Okay, now I can create a group or I can create an application. Now what I would suggest is what you need to do is you need to create a new application. What happens with this application? This application name has to match the application which you are developing, where you are going to use this authorization store. Okay, where you're going to use this authorization, where you're going to use this whole auth RBAC policies that we are creating. So you need to make sure that your names are properly mentioned. See, okay, the application name specified here must be the name that the application manager uses when initializing the authorization manager. Okay, so let's say I say it's an IT free support application. Okay, so that's the name of the application, and I'm saying this is version 1. And I click OK, and I see that I have a new authorization application created for myself. Now this is the application which I'm going to use. This is the whole crux is going to happen in this particular small piece of application which I'm going to create. You can create more application stores. For example, this is an XML file, but if you want a new authorization store to be created which is going to be in an Active Directory location, I can do that. I can say, okay, In the program data, somewhere in the program data, I can mention where exactly that authorization store should be present. Okay, so I can do that as well. But I'm going to continue with this. The first thing that you need to do in authorization store is you need to go to definitions. Okay, in the definitions we have operations that you need to perform. Operations are the basic or the least level of things which you can do in using in authorization manager. Operations are what things should be done, like what this individual should be able to do, okay, or what this group or role should be able to do. So what I say is that this individual should be able to create, okay, so this will say create a new item, okay, and say operation is 1. Then I select new operation definition that says update should be able to update but not create a new item. This is second. The third is delete. Can delete but not create or modify item. And I'll create read. Can only read the items. Okay, now you need to understand, once an item is created, that person, I have to also make sure he gets a read permission to be able to read that item or see that items. If a person wants to update again, first he should be able to read the item. Delete, person first should be able to read the items. So read is a basic permission that you would be needing to give, or that you want to give minimum level, so that they can perform the other actions. But if you don't want them to be able to read an existing item or see existing item, you can make sure that they can just create the item. So what's going to happen is they would not be able to see what's created. That's it. Right? But they can at least create the item. They can still create the item. So you can define those actions. Now I say task definitions. Task definitions is where these operations would get assigned. Okay. So now let's say I give 2 or 3 task definitions. The first task definition is, I have a task definition which is guest. Okay. So guest can only read items. Okay. And now I go over here. I go to operations and say read. Can only read the items, right? The second operation definition is admin. Now admin can do everything. I go back here, I select create, update, delete. Okay, now the new one that I'm going to do is, which is called as member. Now member can view, create and update but not delete. So I have defined that this can create, update and read but not delete. So this is where I've defined 3 different kind of permissions or tasks that can be performed, right? Now what I do is I create roles. Okay, now based on the task definitions, I'm defining roles. Let's say the first role is admin role. Admin role can do everything, and I select this as in that he can do admin. And the next role I'm going to do is guest role. Guest can only view and then I have a member role. Member can create, update and view but not delete item. Okay, so I have defined 3 different kind of tasks that is associated to role. Okay, now we can have groups created as well. So I can create an application group. Okay, now there are 3 different kinds of group that you can see. I've already discussed it before, that the first is a very basic local kind of group which does not have much of it. We can just add and remove people into it. The second is LDAP query group. In the LDAP query group, I can define what LDAP query or what Active Directory query which I'm going to make, what properties it is going to read, and based on those properties, what action it should be able to perform. Okay, so that's the Active Directory query based group. Okay, I'll create an admin group over here. Okay, and you can see the application group option is unavailable because the current Authorization Manager store is version 1 store and does not support this kind of thing. If I use the version 2, if you remember when I creating it, if I would have used version 2, I would have got this option to create a business rule. But I don't want to do it because right now I'm just doing some testing and actually giving you a bit of explanation. Now, see over here, I should be actually going ahead and exporting my item. Okay, I should be going ahead and showing you this XML file and should be importing this XML file into my code and explaining that to you. But right now I'm not doing that. I'm actually even adding a user. This is not something that you normally would do. Okay, normally you would not want to add a user. So I've just added a user IJ to this group. And what happens with that is, now when I go ahead and this thing which is there, which is saved, and this is saved, right? This is saved. Sorry, this is saved. Now if I go ahead and this, if you see over here, this IT free support group is created, and if I open it with code, okay, it's I open this code and you see this already created. Let me just format. So what I'm doing is, I'm just, because we are using a formatter, I already have a formatter. Format document. Okay, there's actually format document. I already have installed it, but let's leave it. I'll show you what I already have. So this is a sample one which I created for you guys, and this is already formatted for you guys. So what you can do is, if you see over here, what I did is I created a group which is group 1, and then I added a member. This is a member. This is a SID of the member, which is security ID of that particular member. Okay, so this is a group ID, GUID ID. Okay, this is a GUID ID of this group that I created. This is a security ID. This is an LDAP group. If I create a LDAP group, it'll also get a GUID ID to it. Okay, now it is blank because I did not added a member. If I add a member, there would also be a member over there. Normally you do not have to. Then you have the new, edit, delete. These are the 3 kind of authorization operations that can be performed. These are the tasks that are there, and other things like the admin, guest, roles that are present. Okay, so task and roles that are present. Now if you see, this is a kind of XML which is available now. What I can do is, if I am doing any kind of development in my Visual Studio, I can just import this XML file and start utilizing these roles, this XML, and manage or operate my application views based on these rules and these configurations which I have done. Okay, this is as simple as that. Now it is not that you need to have this XML file. You can even use an Active Directory. There is way on how you can even use that Active Directory group directly and hard code it, or bind it very closely with your with your application. So that's your Active Directory Authorization Manager, how you can use your Active Directory Authorization Manager to manage your application or build your application in such a way that it is very closely, very tightly clubbed with your application, and then you can make sure that your software or whatever application that you're developing is tightly embedded with RBAC policies that you have defined over here. Okay. This is a decade-old technology. Now it has developed a lot. Lot means a lot. So if I go ahead and just look at what authorization, what rules, what custom rules, and what other things which I can do. Because this is a cloud version, I did not want it to go too much deep into it. But yeah, there is a cloud version to it, and I do not have an P1 or P2 license to be able to create a custom rule and define a custom rule. Otherwise, like I can go over here. There's an Entra ID governance trial which I have created. I have created, but I can definitely demonstrate those aspects of Entra ID governance to you. Okay, if you want to understand more about it, yes, I have gained some specialized access as well. I'm currently, if you would access my, if you would access my LinkedIn, you would see that I've recently received my Entra ID champion as well, very recently. And this Entra ID champion is actually because of my involvement in Entra ID management and feedbacks which happens with Microsoft, the sessions which I happen with Microsoft, the feedbacks that I give, there's a back and forth which happens. So not many people get this kind of award or recognition. I'm amongst a few of them to have got it. So if you want to really understand more about it, if you want to go deep dive into it, we have I can also I have this free version with me. I have this free trial, and I can even go with this Microsoft Entra ID P2 license and go ahead with some advanced features, security features, and reporting and rule-based assignments to applications, which is here. Okay. Now, this is what is available in Azure. This is what is available in a cloud, Azure cloud environment. And what I demonstrated to you, this the Authorization Manager is you can say a very way old version of what you can do in your local Active Directory environment, and use this local Active Directory environment for your application authorization. Okay. Understand application authorization, your development of the whole application, the development of the whole core has to be security tightened, and this application authorization manager is going to help you very nicely to make sure your each and every component, each and every view, each and every page which you develop is linked to this authorization manager or linked to this RBAC policy that we are creating, and it gets associated to one of the other roles that we have defined, because those rules are what is going to define the actions that user can be should be able to take on that page or the property or the view. Okay. If you know, if there were not too many articles about this, there are not too many videos or anything else, so I thought I'll explain this to you. I'll demonstrate this to you. Microsoft is not releasing any more updates or schemas on it as far as I'm aware of, but this Authorization Manager as an overall is still available. If you need to know more about it, if you have any queries with Authorization Manager, please do let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you with it. I'll be more than happy to guide you more about it. I don't want to go into development of application based on this, because I don't think so that as an IT pro you should be needing about it. But this is something that as a developer or as an IT pro you should know, and you should be able to manage it. Okay. If you need any more assistance, if you need any more guidance from my side, please do let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you. I'll be more than happy to guide you upon it. Have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye.